What do we know about the safety of testosterone in women thus far?
Female-dosed testosterone is simply replacing what your body already had made. Most private insurances in America have sexual health exclusion riders.
Wait, I'm sorry. What did you say?
Testosterone is the only natural hormone that's on a DEA list. We don't really know how many people are on testosterone, but the best data that we have is as many women are on testosterone as men right now. If you think the world changes by you sitting down and waiting for somebody else to change it, let me wake you up right now. This is big stuff.
Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
We were just podcasting 2 weeks ago.
It's fantastic.
But I'm so excited because you're in New York. You're promoting your new book.
Yep.
Where is your new book, by the way? Let's bring the book on up here. Yes. The Menopause Moment. I'm so excited. How's your book tour been?
Super fun.
Yeah.
Super fun to see the fans come, they know me from my podcast.
Yeah.
Right? The podcast is almost 6 years old at this point.
Right.
And so to be I feel like I know you because podcasts are so personal and intimate.
Yeah.
Right. And then they come and now they have a book and it's so great.
Yeah. I mean, because they spend hours listening to you. hours a week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
it's wild because you're in your basement podcasting. Right.
Yeah.
And then you realize these people are sharing it with friends and sisters and doctors. And it's literally the world's changing because of what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's actually a very big deal and a wonderful feeling.
I know. What do you feel? I want to know your feelings because I don't know about you, but I thought when I went to med school I was going to be just a doctor.
Just a doctor.
I didn't think I was going to have fans or doing books or signing or glam and all of this stuff. How do you reconcile just that feeling? I mean, it's a good feeling. It's a positive feeling, but it's such an interesting time where clinicians are kind of becoming, we don't like the word influencers, but, really actually building a following, building a tribe, building a community, making change on social media. But sometimes it does feel in the government. That's what I want to talk about. But sometimes it does feel like we weren't supposed to be in this industry or something, right?
Yeah. I didn't choose this, right?
But you.
I get this amazing life because I chose to speak up and I chose to try to help people on a level that's, I was told in med school is if you want to help one person, go to medical school. If you want to help a lot of people, go into public health.
Yeah.
That's what I was taught. And now the saying is if you want to help one person, go to medical school. If you want to help lots of people, have a podcast.
Exactly.
Right? But podcasts didn't exist.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my nephew. He is a sophomore at Columbia in New York. So I went up and had coffee. And he loves math and he loves law.
Yeah.
And the math people don't understand the law and the law people don't understand the math. And
that sounds like women's health.
Right, totally. And I'm he doesn't understand what the end point is with these loves. And he's but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Right. And it's for me as the now old wise, doctor who's on stages at the Sydney Opera House and at the FDA, right? It's you can't know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
Follow your loves, follow what feels like a core strength and value for you. And I'm dude, AI didn't used to exist. Self-driving cars didn't used to exist. You don't know what math and law is going to do. And for him, it was because the college students, they get so anxious about they need to know what the point of all this is. And I'm I'm wearing a hot pink sequin long sleeve dress that's backless in Times Square at the Palladium with 2,500 seats. That was not part of the plan.
I know. Right? Exactly.
But it's just trust that if you follow what you're obsessed and passionate about,
it will find you.
It comes.
It comes. Well, speaking of your passion, so I want to talk about the FDA panel.
Yeah.
And I want to we teased a little bit of behind the scenes on one of our shows. I can't remember which one. But I really want to talk about your specific role, what you wanted to talk about, and dig into what you would like to see changed or what you would like to see addressed further. But so let's take a little bit of a step back, there's the brain fog, paint the picture.
Lay it out there.
Of, what you wanted to talk about in your 5 minutes on the FDA panel, that infamous day that we got to go speak in July 2025.
Yeah. So to back it up for anybody who doesn't know, the current FDA administration is very interested in understanding things that they can do. So it's what can the FDA do? Not all of my wishes for world peace, but what can the FDA do to help people? And the brilliant thing about their approach is they experts know they don't know everything, right? And for them to say, like, we're going to have some roundtables full of national experts to help us tell us what they think we can do. Like, that is gracious. That is leadership. Like, that was fantastic. So we were the hormones was the third panel that they'd had so far this year. Yeah. And I got to be lucky enough to be put on a list of people who were nominated. And to me, I'm like, listen, I'm a urologist. I know GSM, genital urinary syndrome, menopause. I love vaginal estrogen cream. But we have a lot of representatives for that on the panel.
Right. We were doing a lot of talking about the safety of just vaginal estrogen. Yeah. And there was some people on that panel that wanted to focus solely on that. Yep. And you were saying, hey, look, we got to talk about some other things. This is a big stage. Yeah, the FDA, the voices need to be heard.
The FDA can do more than just removing the box warning on vaginal estrogen products. And so to me, I was like, I'm going to talk about female dose testosterone. And you were there. You remember this because the team was very cool and cohesive in being like, what's your talking point? What are you going to talk about? And everybody's, for lack of a better word, agenda, right? And both meetings that we had, somebody tried to kill female dose testosterone. And what I mean by that is like somebody's like, I don't think we should do female dose testosterone because X, Y, and Z. And I get tachycardic. We're all on Zoom. And I'm like, I get tachycardic. And I let them
start texting me.
Don't interrupt. Let them finish. And then I have to self-advocate for female dose testosterone and why I think it should be there. And that happened for both of the Zooms. Yeah. So we got closer and it still happened again. Yeah. And then so I spoke my piece on sticking up for why this is an FDA-approved or an FDA issue. Like, they play a huge role in us not having a product right now. Yeah. And every single time somebody else in that group stood up for me and said yes. Yeah. After I spoke, somebody else said, yes, Kelly, I agree with you. This is worthy of being here. So like that support of somebody else being like, I got your back was very meaningful to me. And but to me, I'm like, listen, there's some people on this panel that have been in this game much longer than I have. I respect them. And at the same time, they actually don't know as much about testosterone as I do. If I don't bring this up, who will?
Right. What an opportunity to have missed. Yeah. Yeah. So let's bring it back for all of the listeners and let's do some straight facts on where we stand in the United States for testosterone. Let's start with for men, because I think there's a lot of myths about what's FDA approved for men and what isn't. So like, what is, FDA approved for men to use when it comes to testosterone? And then let's get into for females.
Yeah. So about testicles make testosterone, ovaries make testosterone. We need to lay that out. Okay. Because otherwise, people will think I'm trying to turn everybody into a man. So testicles make testosterone, and as some men age, either because of a health condition or natural aging or lifestyle things that affect them, about 20% will have low testosterone. The medical term for low testosterone is hypogonadism. That's important when we talk about getting female dose approved. Yeah. So hypogonadism is the reason that men have an FDA-approved testosterone. About 20% of men will have low testosterone. Probably less than that are actually treated. We don't screen men for low testosterone, which we probably should because low testosterone is associated with medical issues. But so 10% are maybe treated that we know about.
And hypogonadism is different or the same than like low libido.
Yeah. So low libido is a symptom of hypogonadism. Okay. Low libido can be caused by hypogonadism. Here's the fascinating rub on FDA approval in men. So testosterone, FDA approved for men for primary hypogonadism. What that means is you were born with a deficiency in testosterone. Most men have secondary or acquired hypogonadism because of lifestyle or age or whatever else. So a large amount of men are taking testosterone off label.
Oh, okay. Now, if they're taking it off label for a secondary cause of hypogonadism, let's say they're heavy smokers or they don't get enough sleep, they're really unhealthy, and then they have low libido, is their testosterone FDA approved? Or is it tricky?
No, they're taking it for off-label reasons.
Got it.
But insurance, by and large, insurance in this country pays for male testosterone. Insurance isn't going around being like, "Were you born with this condition?"
Right. Right. If the code is in, then they will pay for it.
This is very important when we talk about gender bias.
This is really, really juicy. I just want to make that clear. Okay. Yeah. So the doctor can see a patient, and I don't see men, but I'm going to go back like 8 years in time. maybe he's 54, all of those reasons. I can type in primary hypogonadism because I want to help him, and he can get FDA approved testosterone, but it's still off label. I'm just using the code, which clinicians do all the time. We do that because we want to help our patients, because we think, there are silly barriers to insurance. So men, what you're kind of telling me is they have pretty easy access then to get testosterone.
And they have about 12 different FDA-approved options on any given day with what's available on the market.
12?
Yeah, so they have a cream and they have a gel and they've got multiple injection options. We've got oral options. We've got long-term, depot long-term injection options. We've got FDA-approved pellets for men. When everybody talks about female pellets, it's like, you realize pellets are FDA approved for men for hypogonadism.
These details are so crucial because this is what people will shoot off in, DMs and comments to each other on posts. Yep. So say that one more time. Pellets are FDA approved for men for hypogonadism. Okay. So then let's stay with men for a second because I'm loving where we're going. What is the research on the benefits of testosterone in men, and how plentiful is that research?
Yeah. So we've been giving all humans hormones for over 80 years, right? We've got lots of data in the testosterone world. We have more data in men because testicles get the stereotype testosterone producing. But having low testosterone, for whatever reason, you're born that way or you are aging and you have it, having low testosterone is a risk factor for depression. It's a risk factor for diabetes. It's a risk factor for dementia, right? Which is why I'm building the argument of men should probably just get our baseline testosterone checked at age 40, age 45. That's really where the male testosterone thought leaders are of like, how do you know if this guy isn't going around complaining? Because as you know, when you feel crappy, you kind of feel crappy slowly and you don't really know that you're feeling crappy, right? Yeah. So these men are walking around with risk factors for all of these concerning health conditions. Yeah. How do you know who's got, right? If you got a 58-year-old female, I know that your hormones are low. Yeah. We just know that.
Bingo.
But we don't know that in men. So that's kind of building the argument of should men actually be screened? Yeah. Because it's an independent risk factor for all of these things.
Oh, and question here for men, since you're a urologist, do you ever think about, my brain is going to like, gosh, it'd be helpful if we knew their quote baseline testosterone, maybe when they were like 28, because maybe it's, actually maybe they get screened when they're 48 and it's much lower than their baseline. Yeah. I hear that from women all the time. I don't know how much validity there is to it, but I don't know if anyone's done something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I always joke that would be ideal of like, hey, when you're living an awesome life and feeling amazingly well, don't forget to go get your labs checked. Right. So you can be a baseline. And I think
Isn't that great? I wish we had some sort of detector.
I mean, hormone wearables are going to be a thing. Yeah. Like it is coming. Yeah. But, I think that is really important, again, to just for all the male listeners and the people who love the men, is like men have the same issue that women have with testosterone is they get a blood draw. It's in the normal range, but they feel crappy. And then they really, unless you're talking with a testosterone expert, they struggle. I met a woman on the book tour. Her husband's like 50, 51, 52, symptomatic, low energy, low libido, can't hold on muscle mass. Like he's a symptomatic guy. Male testosterone labs, the range is about 300 to 900. He's 302.
Yeah, right.
Right. And so it's like, age adjusted is a thing. Yeah. And a 51-year-old with a testosterone of 302 is not, air quotes, normal. It's certainly not optimal. Right. So she's like, what can I do to talk to my doctor? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, go online, find the age adjusted testosterone if you can. I haven't looked recently. Yeah. But that's the data to say 51-year-olds walking around with 302 is not optimal, even though it's in this normal range. The other thing people don't know is 302 or being down at 300 is the lowest 2% of all men sampled.
Oh, wow.
Right. But the doctors will say, it's a normal lab.
It's not red on the sheet.
It's a normal lab. And you're like, yes, normal, lowest 2%.
Absolutely.
And that's, that kind of crosses over to the female testosterone of like our range is also at like women will say it's red is normal. And I'm like, female testosterone ranges goes down to like 2.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Right. So all genders have issues with labs and testosterone.
We'll talk about that. So yes, benefits for men, you were saying they're pretty good, solid data on the benefits of testosterone for men.
Yeah. And precedent for removing boxed warnings, because we're talking about that.
Yep.
They have a box warning on testosterone that basically says testosterone causes XYZ and heart attacks, heart disease, because of some crappy analysis done like about a decade ago. And they're like, that's not true. Take this off. And they were like, do a study to prove it. And so pharma did a study, randomized placebo-controlled trial on sick men. These were men with cardiac risk factors or previous heart attacks.
This sounds like a setup for a solid study.
So, but they wanted to look at the sick guys because they're like, you're at highest risk for having an event. Is testosterone going to be bad for you? Right. And it's called the Traverse trial. They published it and they said, no worse than placebo. And because of that study, they said, hey, by the way, take this off the boxed warning. The FDA took the boxed warning off in regards to heart disease.
Lucky.
So we have precedent of being like, here's the data, take this off. And when we went to the FDA, we said, here's all the data on vaginal estrogen being completely safe. We have tens of thousands of women studied at this point. You know, we've been giving vaginal estrogen for decades. So it's like, we have the data.
Yeah.
Take it off.
Yeah.
You did that with testosterone.
Yes. Nailed it. Okay. So then let's get into the female side of this. So I know the answer to this. What, is FDA approved in the realm of testosterone for women?
Nothing.
And so walk us through, really, what do we use testosterone for? Who's a good candidate for testosterone in women, right? Let's just start with that.
Yeah. So testosterone is a steady, slow decline from our 20s. There's no the myth is it falls off a cliff with the menopause. There's nothing magical about your last period in testosterone, right? Slow, gradual decline, much less studied than men, but we've been giving women testosterone since 1943, 1942. I always there's this incredible paper in the 40s that says at this time we feel like the safety is good enough and the efficacy is good enough to give women testosterone.
I have a textbook from 1930 something. It was my grandfather's OBGYN textbook.
We're such nerds. Oh my God, what does the textbook say?
It says, yeah, I wish I had it with me because it does have some amazing things in there. But it says really clearly, the treatment is estrogen. It can impact more than hot flashes. It can impact mood. This was 1930s, the mental health impacts. I mean, it's the subtext of the text, right? And there's a very short line in there about androgens and replacing testosterone. But this I can concur. This has been something that clinicians have been doing for, it's not 100 years, but a long time, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And this is where I think there's always a rub is medicine, the practice of medicine. We like objectivity. We like measuring things. We like x-raying things. We like labs for things. And when you come in and you say, I don't feel like Heather, I can't prove that. I can't measure that. Right. It's these vague things that I would argue are the most important things. Mood, energy, libido, feeling like myself, your brain being sharp, you being able to think on your feet, you being creative, you having motivation to get things done. That is all vague stuff in medicine. And that's why I think hormones, because they work everywhere. These are neurohormones that work in the hippocampus, in the amygdala, in the frontal lobe. That's what makes Heather Heather.
Right.
But I can't measure it, so I dismiss you.
No, it's been happening for far too long. And so what do we know about the safety of testosterone in women thus far?
Yeah, incredibly safe. Again, ovaries naturally produce testosterone, as does adrenal glands, as do end organ conversions from other androgens. So our body makes testosterone. Female dosed testosterone is simply replacing what your body already had made. Where we get to see the side effects is when we push the doses up. So we go too high or we go too fast too high. That's when the body's like, what? I don't like being shocked, right? Especially hair follicles.
More than I need.
Hair hates being shocked, whether that's sudden weight loss, postpartum,
GLP-1s.
Yeah, exactly. GLP-1s, massive stress, or drastic hormone changes, thyroid issues.
Adding estrogen can actually cause hair loss.
Yes. So it's start low, go slow, because the people who go from sea level to Everest Base Camp, they feel crappy, and then they give it a bad reputation for everybody else.
Yeah. So there's safety data when we're using low doses or go low and go slow, right? So how do women get testosterone?
Yeah. Well, right now, you have to find somebody who understands testosterone. It's kind of like Santa Claus right now. Do you believe in testosterone, right?
Right.
So that's hard. Once we do get an FDA-approved product, it will change this entire conversation, and it will be somebody's like, what do you hope for when we get an FDA-approved product? And I'm like, that Oprah calls me for all this hard work.
that I've been working on for a decade.
It will validate it.
Yeah.
Right? It'll validate. Just like when Viagra got FDA approved, it validated men's erectile dysfunction. Because before Viagra came out, erections and their lack thereof was all in your head. It was a psychiatric condition. And then we got an FDA-approved medication that increases blood flow to the pelvis, makes erections better. We validated erectile dysfunction, right? When we got SSRIs, we validated depression and the treatment of it. So it'll be so validating to be like, hey, hormone decline is a legitimate health concern that we can improve people's health with. So that's what's going to happen when we get an FDA approved. We have 4 countries in the world right now. America's behind. We're not the leaders on this.
Yeah, just so you know.
We're a little competitive and we have egos and we like to think that we're at the forefront of science and technology, and in testosterone we're not. The UK, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand all have female dosed called Androfem. It's one product right now. And Europe used to have a patch. That was approved for secondary hypogonadism. It was approved for surgical menopause. And it ended up, it didn't do well. I think nobody knew about it. And again, surgical menopause is a small percentage of all people who go into menopause. And they ended up taking it off the market. Not because it wasn't safe, not because it wasn't effective. It just didn't get any traction.
Okay, so to find testosterone, to use testosterone, you kind of have to find a clinician who has maybe taken your course, knows how to prescribe testosterone, because right now it's off-label or it's not FDA approved. So let's talk about your argument to the FDA.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, you told me you got 3 main points about, testosterone that you want to make that really highlight why it should be FDA approved. So let's get into those 3.
Yeah. So the 3, and we can break them down, but just to get them out, the 3 are a female-dosed FDA approved product. When it's approved, getting it approved for something other than hypoactive sexual desire disorder or the libido. So getting it approved for hypogonadism, which is what the men have their testosterone product approved for, and is what is actually physiologically causing our low testosterone.
That's what you
want. Don't get it approved for a symptom of the low testosterone. Get it approved for the low testosterone.
Let's validate it and validate it scientifically.
Yes, and we can go into why I don't want this for sex, even though I'm a sex med doctor.
Yeah.
And then number 3 is I'm not going to make you a gold medal pole jumper by giving you female dose testosterone. This does not need to be DEA restricted. For people who don't know, the DEA restricts, anabolic steroids and fentanyl and ketamine and anything that's a high risk drug of abuse, right? Those are all restricted on the DEA. I'm like, the DEA is busy. If nobody noticed, we have a fentanyl and opioid crisis. They do not need to be knocking on the doors of the people prescribing testosterone, which they currently are doing.
Now, it is still DEA regulated for men, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Okay.
And that was my argument. That was very specific.
Yeah.
I went for the low-hanging fruit.
Have it unregulated for women?
Female is unregulated.
Interesting.
I'm like, we'll fight the fight of if male should be regulated or not at a different date.
Okay.
But that was the
That was going to be my
my
next question. All right. So let's talk about point number 1, female dosing. My gosh, this would help so much because, of course, I prescribe testosterone and they've got to squeeze the thing and do some math and wish upon a star. I've had patients use, what we do. If you want to use what you can get commercially available, what the clinicians will do is take a male dose of a packet or a tube and use about 1/10 of it. And that sounds like a recipe a little bit for testosterone. Now, most women can figure it out. It's not the worst. Most women can figure it out.
But we're smart. But the pharmacy hates it when doctors say pea-sized amount.
Oh,
they will literally return a prescription to you because you said pea-sized amount.
I learned this the hard way when I first started.
Yeah,
I don't write that anymore.
It's like they want us to be specific and accurate, and in the female dose testosterone, we can't. Right. We can't be.
Right.
And so it was really going to validate testosterone, but also give us an appropriate dose of hey, you actually have to learn what 1/10 of this is and making it last 1/10 of 10 days. The other problem is you can compound it. Compounding tends to be more expensive. Compounding is rarely covered by insurance.
And you usually have to, since it's DEA regulated, you have to prescribe it every 3 months or every month, depending on what state you're in. Yeah. For example, I'm in a very strict state.
New York is strict.
Very strict. So if someone's going to compound it, I've got to refill it for them every month, which is...
I did not know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you do.
Wow. Yeah, and in the rest of America, it is every 6 months you need at least a doctor's visit. And for regular prescriptions that aren't DEA, it's every year you need a visit.
Wow.
So it increases the burden of accessing care.
Yep.
The other big issue is that right now telemedicine is being threatened for any DEA-required medications, and that is set to expire. So right now it's allowed. That's set to go away, I think, January 1st.
Yeah.
And it was set to go away last year.
Yeah, every year.
There was a big ruckus.
Yeah.
Right, but who accesses telemedicine more? Women do.
Right, exactly.
Right, so it's going to affect females more than men.
I know, because we're going to end with what you think is kind of this gender bias in medicine. So then let's go to your second point. Your second point was on having it approved for a valid scientific reason, which I love, right? So tell me more about that. What are your thoughts? You've probably been ruminating on this, why? But beyond just we want to have the correct diagnosis.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's low-hanging fruit that we have a lot of data on testosterone's beneficial for libido. So it's low-hanging fruit to be like, great, just get it approved for libido. We've got the data, right?
Yeah.
The problem with that, most private insurances in America have sexual health exclusion riders, which means
oh my gosh.
Yeah, which means
wait. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Yeah. They don't have to cover Viagra. They don't have to cover anything that has to do with sexual health.
Huh.
It's quite common.
How is it that I don't know that?
Well, you don't see men,
right?
And so, like,
I don't prescribe Viagra.
You don't prescribe. So when a man comes in, we can't. If we want his insurance to cover the visit, we can't say he's here for erectile dysfunction.
Interesting. I had no idea about this.
Yeah.
My mind is blown.
Yep.
Okay.
So if we get it, and this is why I'm so adamant of like, why does Kelly care what this is FDA approved for?
Right.
Because I'm paying attention to all of this.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And I see what and it's not a big problem. It's because Viagra is like $2.
Right.
Right. But back when Viagra was expensive, insurance wasn't covering it anyways. Right. Yeah. So this is why I care. Private insurance exclusive, and same with Medicare. Like that's why we have issues with like, Intrarosa with Medicare because it's for dyspareunia, which is a sexual health issue. Right? Okay. So it's not first tier.
Yeah.
So anyways, I digress because we're nerds.
Yeah.
Do not get it approved for low libido because insurance will then not cover it because they have sexual health exclusion riders.
Got it.
And what's happening in Australia? Australia already has it. They're FDA approved for hypoactive sexual desire disorder or low libido. So what's happening? Women go to their doctor and they lie because they want testosterone for other reasons, but they lie and say it's for low libido. So we're breaking the doctor-patient relationship. You can only have this for low libido.
Right.
That's not how the brain works. That's not how neurons work. And frankly, that's not how testosterone works.
It's not.
So it's putting it in a box that's actually unphysiologic.
So let's go through briefly, because I know you could talk about this for hours. And quick plug, if you're a healthcare professional, you need to take Dr. Casperson's course. It's amazing. And it's not only amazing, it is so much fun to just listen to. So walk through kind of main organs, like what does testosterone do in the brain, in the heart, cardiovascular, pelvic floor, bones. What do you know? Just, give us little teasers on like the benefits for women particularly.
Yeah.
And it's probably the same with men, but what do we know?
Yeah.
Going head to toe.
So again, much less data than men. But what we have, so what are hormones? Hormones are messengers that travel around the body and help cells be healthy. Estrogen and testosterone helps mitochondria function better. It helps our metabolism. It helps the function of cells. And that is not just in the libido box that's on the left side of the brain. I'm joking. There's no libido box. It's your sex drive is your entire brain, my friends. Right. So it helps the glial cells support the neurons.
Glial cells?
I was a neuroscience undergrad.
You are such a nerd. I haven't heard the word glial cells in the longest time. That's right. I think I knew that like way in the back of my mind.
Yeah. You need healthy glial cells.
This is like, your nephew who's trying to figure out math and law, right? You just literally said, tell him this story. I just pulled out my neuroscience.
My neuroscience undergrad.
Yes.
Right. And then you do urology and then you go into sex med. And I'm like, it's all about the brain, people. It's all about the brain.
That's so.
I can give you a perfect pelvis, but it's all about the brain.
I just want to make sure everyone knows if that has not dropped on any other like show or interview. Kelly is a brain nerd.
We come here.
You heard it here first.
For the glial cells.
Yeah.
So glial cells are basically the support team that help like the marathon runners, right? Like they bring the water, they help you, all that. That's what glial cells do.
Yeah.
And then neurons are wrapped in myelin sheaths, and you need myelin. That's the insulation to the electrical cords, right? I am nerding you out. Testosterone helps neurons.
Wow.
Right. So to say it's only for libido is like, you either don't understand sex med or you don't understand cellular biochemistry. Like it's insane to say this is just a libido drug.
Yeah.
But we have the most data for it. So what's happening in Australia, getting back to that, we're lying to our doctors to get it. I'm saying I have low libido just so I can get my hands on testosterone, which is horrible for the doctor-patient relationship.
Yep.
And then multiple people have messaged me. So this is not a one-off. A woman goes to the doctor. She does have low libido. She says, I would like to try testosterone for low libido. The doctor says, no, because you are not married.
You're serious.
I'm serious.
You know, this is where the sexism comes in.
Yeah.
That is so patriarchal and sexist and ageist and just so many things wrapped in one.
Yeah. To me, I'm like, America, this is what's going to happen here if our FDA approves testosterone for hypoactive sexual desire disorder. I always feel like a punch to a gut when I hear these stories because I feel like there's no way that can be true. But my patients will tell me these things, right? It's true. It's like, I can't make this up.
Wow, I know. So insane. What about testosterone's impacts on, we talked about brain, what about bones? Because I know you talked about that a lot. Like, and actually you had some more recent data that came out sort of this year, you know, having to do with like fragility and all those types of and musculoskeletal syndrome. So let's wrap in bones and joints at the same time.
So testosterone helps support, it's anabolic, which anabolic is not a dirty word, my friends. Anabolic means to build. It's all it means,
building.
Right. So some people use drugs of abuse to get very big and, you know, but that's what got anabolic a bad name. But you actually want some anabolism. Otherwise, when you're living a long life and you've only got catabolism, which is breaking down, right? We need to build things back up.
You need a balance.
We need a balance. So anabolic is not a bad word. And testosterone promotes anabolism. And what that means is the low estrogen state is breaking down bone. Testosterone helps build bone, right? So testosterone helps support osteoblasts, which are the builders of the bone. Testosterone improves core strength and core muscles. There's actually some data showing women with higher levels of testosterone have less stress urinary incontinence, which is leaking with cough, sneeze, laugh. Pelvic floor, muscles.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm a urologist. I would love more studies on that. But I was never taught that in training. Like, women with a higher level of testosterone have less bladder leakage.
That's incredible.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So, the study you were probably mentioning that came out in 2025, published in JAMA, negative study, which is unfortunate. They should have written this in a different way. But their endpoint was how far can a woman walk in a 6-minute walk test 6 months after a hip fracture on testosterone versus placebo with regular rehab. Testosterone didn't make people walk farther in 6 minutes. Shocker. I'm no faster on testosterone either. Testosterone's not kind of a built for speed sort of thing.
You can't go 0 to 100.
Yeah. Doesn't turn you into a road runner
in 40 seconds.
So it's written, if you only read the abstract, which a lot of people do, read the abstract, it's a negative study. Testosterone did no better than placebo at 6 months on a 6-minute walk test.
Yeah.
Fine. Read the frickin' paper.
Okay.
The women on testosterone had almost a 50% decreased need of using a cane or a walker at 6 months.
Yes, I remember.
So we all have mothers. We all have people who are at risk of falls. If, heaven forbid, a family member falls and breaks her hip, if a doctor said, I've got something cheap, I've got something safe, and it's going to increase their risk of being in independent mobility at 6 months, would you like to try it? Everybody's going to say yes.
Sign up. Yeah.
Sign up for that.
Yes.
And as far as and these women were on pretty decent doses of testosterone. This was not a whiff. This was a decent dose of testosterone. No increased side effects compared to placebo. They did. These are old, frail women.
Yeah. What was the age range?
I want to say it was like late 60s. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
And also a woman's sense of feeling strong, like self-feeling. Yeah, how well do you feel you've recovered?
Yes.
That was higher in the testosterone group. Right. So to me, I'm like, oh my, I hate that it's a negative study, but if you actually read it, like they could have, if it was a male study, it would be like, bias. If this is a male study and they decreased the risk of a cane or a walker at 6 months, it would have been on CNN.
Yes, for sure.
Like,
for sure.
Frailty matters, independence matters.
Yes.
And it was buried.
Yes. And I think, again, this is another nod to the sexism, the way we report things, right?
Yep.
Because you're absolutely right. If it was in men, they would report it as this significant positive outcome. In women, it's like, just another thing to show that testosterone doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Or however. And, the problem is everyone comes with a bias. Every researcher, every scientist, us, them, all of us. And when you only have so many words, so much copy to put in, it's the way you frame it.
Yeah,
it's
it
the
really
way
does.
you frame it.
You and I read studies like the top 1%, right? And it's like when you get really good at reading studies, you can see where the bias is and how things are worded.
Right between
There's
the lines.
a lot in a paper.
Yeah,
right.
Papers have become memes, and I have never said this out loud, so I'm almost afraid to say this. But like, I can almost, as I'm reading a paper, kind of tell what the authors were talking about in their back rooms as they were talking about the study, the way it's written.
Yep.
And maybe I'm wrong, but I can hear it because I've read so many studies so many times. I've been focusing on this since 2014. And so, I've had enough time where I can read a study and then kind of hear some of the follow-up later that now I feel like I have this remote viewing.
Yeah.
Dr. Hirsch has remote viewing.
Yeah.
But do you feel like that in a way? Like you can tell their personal spin just by the way they frame. Because this study, as you mentioned, as you talked to all the clinicians who take your course, was very exciting. Yet it just got buried. And not only buried, it was like another like poo-poo, no difference results. Like, and that's really harmful for women's health.
I think so. I mean,
that's really harmful for women's health.
Hip fractures 1 in 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Lack of mobility is the top reason why you end up in a nursing home.
Billions upon billions upon billions of healthcare dollars are spent, and we cannot get testosterone FDA approved.
And again, to pound on the hip fractures, 50% of people will never regain baseline mobility. 50%. Yeah. If there was a drug that could help with regaining baseline mobility, there might be a Super Bowl ad for that, right? And I'm like, that's what's in this paper. It's like decreased risk of cane or walker.
Did you write to the authors?
No.
No. Just
I'm like, bless their hearts.
Bless their hearts. Okay, let's get to the last one. Okay. So the DEA. I mean, to me, I'm like, you go for it, girl. I feel like that is going to be so hard to remove the DEA restrictions on testosterone. Just again because of the sexism. But what's your way of tackling this, of getting to the people who make these decisions? Just kind of walk me through how you think we could actually change this, because it would be so significant. Because the shame, not only do women they don't have a dose appropriate medication for them. That was your point number one. So they're trying to do all the things, but then, they go to get their testosterone and they know it's not FDA approved. And then they got to pull out their license as if they're trying to buy, something that they don't want to buy.
For people who don't understand, when you receive as a consumer, when you receive a DEA restricted medication, in many states, your name goes on a list.
Oh, yes. My patients.
It's a big privacy. It's a privacy issue.
Yes.
And that list is, depending upon the state, available to law enforcement.
Jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, respect our privacy, that this is a hormone, our body. Testosterone is the only natural hormone that's on a DEA list.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy.
And especially for women, because I have never met a female that would choose to abuse testosterone.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd have a good reason to.
Yeah, no. And if you're going to abuse testosterone, you're going to use a massive dose.
Right.
Massive dose along with other synthetic anabolics. Like doping in sport.
And you will be transitioning.
And you will be transitioning. You will have transition
which
side
is
effects.
why most women, unless that's their goal, but they're using that medication.
Did anybody see the East German swim team in the 1980s in the Olympics? Like, it's very masculine look. But people need to understand doping in sport is a big concern for people. Right? I understand it. But what it takes to dope in sport is a massive scientific endeavor now that is not female dose testosterone. They're apples and oranges.
They're not quite the same.
Yeah.
So you think you could do this? You think we could do this? I'm going to say you, because you're the captain.
I can't do it on my own.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I mean, I feel like I'm very loud. Mm-hmm. I'm very cautious in not saying anything that can be used against me to put me in a position of like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So I'm very cautious about how I talk. But this is what I know. The American women are underrepresented. The best data that we have, which is hard data because we got compounding, we got pellets, we don't really know how many people are on testosterone, but the best data that we have in both the UK and in America is as many women are on testosterone as men right now. Men have 10 FDA approved products covered by insurance. Women have 0. Because 100% of women will become hypogonad. Mm-hmm. About 20% of men will. It's a huge market, and nobody's listening to them. Yeah. But now, like, I've got deans of medical schools that are interested.
Yeah.
I need
teach,
people.
advocate.
Yes, I need people in positions of power who can get into the DEA and the FDA in different avenues than me.
Yeah.
Right. Luckily I was there, and it's on YouTube and people can watch it. But even what can the average American do? Any gender, I don't care who you are. You want to help out the females. This is what you do. You go to the FDA website, you contact the FDA, you email them. Like, these things are available on their websites on how to access them. They just recently closed at the end of September. They closed their open window period for public discussion. Right.
But still send an email because I wholeheartedly believe that we got this panel because so many clinicians who weren't on the panel, clinicians who were on the panel have been talking about this so much. It's been getting so much airtime that finally the politicians were also like, gee, we should pay attention to this. This actually really matters to women. And that's all just the ground up.
Yeah. I mean, and the awesome thing about Congress and this is a bipartisan issue. This is health of America.
Yeah.
We care deeply about it.
Yes.
Let's help people out. And, I was doing a book tour in Chicago, and the question was, what can the average woman do? And I'm like, if you think the world changes by you sitting down and waiting for somebody else to change it, let me wake you up right now. It's not how it happens. And I'm like, this is not going to change because I'm loud on a bunch of podcasts and have a podcast. It's going to change because women are like, it is messed up that we do not have what men have, and we don't have the insurance coverage, and we don't have a legitimate product, and we don't have a legitimate validation that hormones matter in our bodies. Like, it was interesting. Again, in Chicago, there's about 100 women in the room. This was an educated, savvy group. So I asked, how many of you are on female dose testosterone? 70% of the hands went up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, you guys have access in Chicago.
Yeah.
And so then I was like,
or is it that's who you attract?
That's who I attract, right? But I've been on a bunch of different book events now, and it's not all that savvy. So this is a savvy group. 70% raised their hand. And I said, keep your hand up if testosterone is helping you with something other than libido. Every single hand stayed up.
Yeah. And I can say that too. As a clinician, I see it improve my patients' mood, brain fog, joint aches and pains,
anxiety. Anxiety. I've seen anxiety.
Study you commented on recently.
Obsessive compulsive disorder, which is not studied at all, a little bit more studied in the male population, but obsessive compulsive disorder gets better. Louise Newsom this year published an abstract of the ability to deprescribe SSRIs shot up when testosterone was added.
Yeah.
Like this is big stuff.
And, Kelly, this is stuff I talk with my patients and do all the time with. I have patients transitioning off of SSRIs as they've done well on their testosterone. Like, this is real world stuff that experts like you and I do, and experts like you and I teach. And you're making an incredible change. Now, how much about testosterone's in your new book?
So each hormone, meaning testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, has its own chapter.
That is so cute.
And it's adorable.
Yes.
And the first chapter is testosterone, because testosterone in everybody's conversation comes last. And I'm like,
know.
We make 4 times the amount of testosterone than estrogen.
I know. You can blame me for this too. You can, Yep. I always say estrogen, then plus or minus progesterone, then plus or minus testosterone.
Estrogen is the princess. She gets invited to every party.
Yeah.
But testosterone is, I call it in my chapter, is testosterone the forgotten quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I meant to say something when you were talking about women having to kind of advocate. Dr. Men said, last time when I had her on the podcast, I said, what do you tell the women? She said, I tell them, no one's coming to save you, right? Yeah. And so by listening and advocating and writing to the FDA and being involved, commenting, doing all this stuff, it's really making a huge difference. Like I never in a million years, which is surprising for me, would have thought, because I think of the craziest things, would have thought I would be at this FDA panel helping to make such a big change. And it was, of all the things that I've done, of all the shows and people that I've met, that was the thing that was the most nervous for. Right before the camera started, my heart was racing. You'd think
you knocked it out of the ballpark, by the way. You completed the assignment.
With my memorized speech there. I didn't know we could bring papers. But it felt like, even though, again, I've gotten to do lots of things, you've gotten to do lots of things, it felt really like history was being made. Hopefully
Honor of a lifetime.
The first time. Maybe there will be many, many more.
Yeah. I know. I'm happy to come talk to Congress whenever they need me. But I really want people to understand this. I am not here beating down doors for my own agenda. Like I've been offered equity in companies that are I've said no to everything. I want no skin in the game of even profiting from this.
You don't.
My job is testosterone news and testosterone education. So I'm saying no to opportunities because to me, I'm like, I don't want anybody to come after me to be like, she's just doing this for her gain.
Her own good.
I'm saying
That's smart.
No, right? And again, I am not getting research grants for testosterone. I am literally doing this because I've got crazy arm hair going up, which means I'm on the right track. So I'm literally doing this because women tell me every single day how testosterone has changed their lives.
Yeah.
I am their microphone. I am their advocate. It is for the women who are understanding that feeling better shouldn't be optional and at the whim of a clinician who knows.
A mic drop. I think that's the best way to end this, and really thank you so much for being like such an advocate, such a powerhouse, such a wealth of knowledge and really, on the ground with all the women that you're going to be meeting on your book tour and just all the podcasting that you're doing, all the DMings that you're getting, all the patients that you see. You're really making such a difference.
Thank you.
So thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, I will see you guys next week for a brand new episode. And thank you, Dr. Casperson.
My pleasure.
Time.
Thank you.